There's something haunting about losing the Gemini, something that lingers long after they've gone. It's not just the absence of their laughter or the silence that follows their chaos. It's the way the air feels still, as if the universe itself paused to acknowledge the void they left behind. People fear losing a Gemini because they know, deep down, that once they go, nothing ever feels quite the same. They take with them a spark, a sound, a frequency that few can replicate. You don't just lose a person, you lose an atmosphere, a mirror, a rhythm that once made life vibrate differently. Gemini energy is alive in the way storms dance with sunlight. They are contradiction and coherence woven into one being. They can hold fire and water in the same breath, rage and tenderness in the same heartbeat. They love like wind, touching everything, seen by none, impossible to grasp. And when they leave, the wind stops moving, leaving behind the kind of quiet that makes people realize how deeply they had been breathing someone else's essence without even noticing. And maybe that's why so many try to hold on, to cage them, to decode them, to anchor what can't be anchored. But Gemini doesn't belong to stillness. They belong to movement, to discovery, to the eternal search for truth between worlds. They were born to evolve, not to stay in the same vibration forever. And anyone who's ever loved one knows this. You don't lose a Gemini because they stop caring. You lose them when you stop growing. If you're watching this and you feel the pull of Gemini energy, whether you are one or you've loved one, subscribe to Astro Gemini, because this space exists for those who live between dualities, for those who feel too deeply to fit inside one single definition. Geminis are mirrors of the cosmos, reflecting back the light and darkness in everyone they meet. That's why people can't forget them. They awaken something inside you that refuses to sleep again. You can try to move on, but you'll still find them in the way you speak, in the way you think, in the way you suddenly question everything you once believed. They rearrange the furniture of your mind and then leave you to live in the house they built inside your soul.
What people misunderstand about Gemini is that their duality isn't a mask, it's a map. They are always navigating the distance between what they feel and what they show, between what they give and what they protect. One side reaches out to connect with the world, the other hides in silence, observing it all like an ancient spirit. They are both the storyteller and the mystery that can't be told. You can see it in their eyes, the restless spark, the hidden ache, the desire to be known colliding with the terror of being understood. They'll let you close, but never all the way. They crave intimacy, but on their own terms. To love a Gemini is to accept that you will never hold every piece of them because some parts were never meant to belong to this world. They live in a space between words, in a language only their soul can speak. And that's where the fear begins, the fear of losing what you never fully had. When Gemini withdraws, it's not out of cruelty, it's their nature to retreat when the energy feels heavy, when the connection starts turning into a cage. They need oxygen for their thoughts, space for their transformation. You can't love them by trying to control them. You can only love them by letting them fly. If you've ever tried to hold a Gemini too tightly, you know what happens. The moment your grip closes, they slip through your fingers like smoke. Not to escape, but to survive. Their freedom is not rebellion, it's self-preservation. They are designed to expand, to experience, to become 1,000 versions of themselves before the end of one lifetime. And here's the truth that most people don't admit. You don't fear losing a Gemini because they might forget you. You fear it because you know you will never forget them. They etch their energy into your memories, into the sound of your laughter, into the way you now think faster, dream bigger, feel deeper. They awaken you, and awakenings cannot be undone.
There comes a moment in every connection with a Gemini when the air shifts, when the energy that once felt close and familiar starts to stretch into silence. You sense it first, before you even understand it, that subtle distance, that space between words where their spirit begins to wander. And in that space, most people panic. They think the Gemini is leaving, but what's really happening is much deeper. They are transforming. Geminis are not built to live in repetition. They are souls of motion, beings of air who must keep changing form to stay alive. To them, life is not a straight line, it's a constellation, 1,000 luminous points connecting through meaning and movement. When they start to drift, it's not rejection, it's renewal. They are shedding an old version of themselves so something truer can emerge. But to those who love them, that metamorphosis can feel like loss. And that's why losing a Gemini feels like watching the stars dim in your own sky. To love a Gemini is to learn that love itself is an act of release. Their purpose in your life is to show you the beauty of impermanence, to teach you that holding on too tightly suffocates both hearts. When a Gemini steps back, it isn't because they don't care. It's because they care enough to not let something sacred turn stagnant. They believe that if energy is meant to remain, it will find its way back through time, through space, through all the unseen channels that connect one soul to another. And here's the paradox that defines them. They leave you, yet they stay. Their body may walk away, but their essence lingers like perfume on a wind that never quite fades. You find them in songs you didn't even realize you both loved, in flashes of laughter that echo long after the sound has gone. You feel them in moments of sudden inspiration when your own spirit awakens, as if remembering something ancient and familiar. That's the power of their presence. It plants seeds of curiosity, growth, and self-awareness that continue to bloom long after they've moved on. They don't just pass through your life, they activate it. They rearrange your emotional DNA. You start to see life differently, to think more deeply, to speak more honestly. And even if you never see them again, their energy continues to teach you how to expand, how to let go, how to love without possession.
If you're someone who has felt the echo of a Gemini long after they've gone, subscribe to Astro Gemini. This channel is for those who understand that connections are not coincidences. They are cosmic contracts, signed in energy and written in the language of evolution. Geminis don't fear change. They flow with it. They are the living embodiment of transformation, the reminder that growth and loss are not opposites, but reflections of the same divine movement. And if you've ever tried to resist that, you know the pain it brings. You know the ache of wanting someone who was never meant to be held still. But you also know the freedom that follows when you finally stop grasping and start trusting. So take a breath, let go. Like this video if you've ever loved someone who taught you how to release without resentment, how to cherish without clinging, how to say goodbye while still carrying the light. Support Astro Gemini. Become a channel member for exclusive videos and early access. When you join, you're not just supporting content, you're joining a spiritual movement of self-awareness and cosmic reflection. And remember, you never really lose a Gemini. You only graduate from the chapter they wrote in your life. They are still out there, somewhere between heaven and thought, writing their next story, whispering through the wind, reminding you that endings are not the opposite of beginnings. They are the doorway between what was and what's about to bloom. People fear losing a Gemini because their energy feels eternal. Even after distance or silence, there's a pulse that never dies, a vibration that continues to move through your life like an unfinished song. They are the ghost of laughter that lingers in your memory, the whisper of wisdom that visits your dreams, the spark of intuition that reminds you of what freedom feels like. And the truth is, no one ever truly loses a Gemini. You only learn to live with their absence as a form of presence.
Gemini souls are the architects of impermanence. They walk through your world to build bridges between who you were and who you're meant to become. They might leave abruptly, but they never leave you unchanged. Every word, every silence, every glance carries a frequency that continues to shape your emotional evolution. It's why people find it hard to let go. They aren't just missing a person, they're missing the transformation that person awakened. Gemini energy is the sacred paradox of the cosmos. It teaches that love can both arrive and depart while still being real. When they walk away, it's not betrayal, it's initiation. They're the universe's reminder that detachment is not the opposite of love. It is love matured, purified, freed from fear. They teach you that endings are not punishments, but doorways to greater versions of yourself. If you are a Gemini listening to this, understand your gift. You are the catalyst others fear and crave at the same time. You bring clarity through contradiction, healing through chaos, truth through tenderness. You move through people's lives like a sacred wind, sometimes soft, sometimes wild, but always necessary. You awaken what has been asleep. You set stagnant hearts in motion. And though many will misunderstand you, your soul's mission is never about being understood. It's about igniting change. And if you have loved Gemini, know this: your connection was real, even if it was brief. What you shared was a fragment of eternity disguised as time. The bond you felt wasn't a dream, it was a meeting between two evolving souls. The fear you carry of losing them is the proof of how deeply they touched your being. But you didn't lose them. You absorbed them. They live in the parts of you that became wiser, freer, and braver because of their touch. In truth, no one can ever lose a Gemini because they never give themselves to one moment or one person. They give themselves to the movement of life itself. Their love flows through existence like light passing through glass, bending, shifting, transforming everything it touches. Even when they leave, they continue to reflect you, to remind you of who you were before fear and who you can become once you let go.
So if you find yourself thinking of a Gemini who once filled your world with color, don't mourn the distance. Close your eyes and thank them. Thank them for teaching you that connection doesn't end when the body leaves. It continues in energy, in memory, in the silent thread between hearts that no distance can cut. Like this video if you believe that some souls are infinite, too vast to ever truly lose. Comment your date of birth and zodiac sign below. Let's see which cosmic energies cross paths with yours. Subscribe to Astro Gemini for more truths like this, real, raw, and written for souls who feel more than they can explain. And if this message found you, it's because it was meant to. Nothing you hear here is coincidence. It's remembrance. And remember, if you want to hear everything the universe has to say to you, watch these other videos on our channel. Each one carries a message meant to meet you exactly where your soul is right now.